Hi, this is Steve Garland, head wrestling coach at the University of Virginia, giving my weekly Virginia Wrestling newsletter. This week I wanted to jump right to the chase and recap our Clarion Open performance. We just got back from the Clarion Open. We brought everybody that had a heartbeat that was healthy and cleared to compete. We brought up there, and it was an awesome day for us. We ended up having 6 champions. We had a ton of guys place. So I'm going to try to rip through it quickly, and I apologize in advance to any of my wrestlers or wrestlers' families if I forget somebody. It's been a really rough week in terms of the aftermath of that, getting back at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and travel arrangements for this short trip. We turn around and leave tomorrow from North Dakota State, and then we have North Dakota State match, and the next day we have Minnesota, South Dakota State, and Grand Canyon. So we've got 4 duels in 2 days. We're leaving at the flight goes out at 5 a.m. tomorrow, so it's been a lot going on. So bear with me here, and I'll try to do the best I can. At 125 pounds, it was really neat to see 3 Virginia wrestlers all in the semis together. We had Virginia versus Virginia, the All-Virginia semis, and one side of the bracket, which was Jabari Moody, first-year Jabari Moody, who was a huge, highly touted recruit coming out of high school, and he didn't disappoint. He wrestled his heart out. He wrestled. It was unbelievable. At one point, there was actually a crowd around one of his matches because that's how exciting he is to watch, and that's how many people wanted to watch him compete. He just fights so hard. And he's got a lot to learn. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he's a fan favorite, let's just say that. So that was really neat. And then Joe Martinez, though, it was great to see Joe Martinez wrestle so solid. Dropped from 133 to 125. A couple years ago, Joe was the 2 seed at the ACC tournament at 133 pounds. And now he's dropped down to 25, and so we were interested to see how that was going to go. And although the weight cut was tough, he looked solid, he looked tough, he fought for every position. He ends up beating Jabari and making it to the finals. And in the finals, wrestled Nick Herman in the finals for the championship. And Nick Herman was able to defeat him in a really good match. It was just really good wrestling going on. The score, I think, was 8-5, but it was a much higher affair than that. I mean, there's a lot of action going on. So it was just great to see the depth and to see those guys, how much better they've all gotten. So it was really cool, and kudos to Nick Herman, who came home with the tournament championship. 133, George D. Camille looked amazing. Gosh, talk about a high point of the tournament. He ripped through the tournament. I think he tech pinned everybody. I may be wrong on that, but I think it was that's how bad it was. And I know in the finals he got a fall against a very tough Lock Haven wrestler. And I know Lock Haven's program well because Scott Moore used to work here with me, and Scott's now the head coach there. And he was talking about this young man before the match, and George was able to, I think he was up 6-0 before he got the fall. So it was a really incredibly impressive performance for Georgie. So that was all good. At 41, we had 2 guys, Zach Watson and Sammy Krivas, both do great. Zach made it all the way to the semis. He got injured in the last. He beat a very tough, again, Lock Haven wrestler in the quarters, and in the last 10 seconds of the match tweaked his knee, and so he had to pull out, had a medical forfeit to Sammy, and then Sammy on the other side of the bracket was doing great. He gets the forfeit, makes it to the finals. Looked awesome. He's a first year as well. He was wrestling unattached because he's planning on redshirting at this point, and he just looked incredible. I mean, poised, relaxed, skilled, under control, dominating every position, and made it to the finals against a very, very tough Brock Zackerl from Clarion, a guy who actually beat Georgie this past summer and was 1-1. He got taken down to his back. It was kind of a controversial set of backs, and he ends up losing the match close. And so just really impressed with him, but also Zach Watson, to back up a second. We just watched his quarterfinal match. He looked rock solid. And Zach, one of the great stories of this year, a guy who's had 3 surgeries, hasn't been able to be on the mat because he's been banged up, and he comes out and just wrestled so well. I mean, the fruit of his work ethic was evident. And if you watch any of his matches, solid, good on top, never stops, fights for every point. You know, we've been saying Virginia way a lot. I mean, that's a guy that epitomizes the Virginia way in terms of the way he competes. And oh, by the way, he's got a first year pushing him every step of the way and looking amazing as well. So just such a cool thing to see 25 to 41, the depth and the talent of all those guys. Emilio Martinez was also at 141 pounds. He went all the way up from 125 to 41. He went the opposite direction as his brother, and he did a great job as well. His results may not look like it on paper, but we thought that there were some really good things out of him as well. 149, TJ Miller ends up winning the championship. Looked great, under control. Again, just sort of poised the whole match, building, getting better each round. Looked great in the finals. We're really happy with the way he looked. Unfortunately, Chris Yankovic got sick on the way up. We had a virus rip through our team, and so Chris Yank couldn't wrestle, so it was just TJ entering in at that weight. 157 pounds, Andrew Atkinson won the championship as well. And I think you would argue, besides George, is probably the most dominant, most controlled, most impressive competitor we had. He just looked so good. In the finals, he stayed under control. He got in a couple bad positions, made a couple mistakes, was able to just come back and end up controlling the entire last two periods of that match and won 4-0. 65, Garrett Peppelman, redshirt freshman, made it to the finals, ended up losing a close one by, I think, 2 points in the finals. Again, got injured first period in that match, was able to come back, got 2 takedowns in the third to make it a match, and just ran out of clock. 174, first-year Fox Baldwin, won the tournament. Just, again, got better every match. Didn't look great at different times, but then looked amazing as the tournament went on. In the finals, he looked the best he looked all day. It was really, really, really impressive to see how he's a big match guy. The bigger the match got, the better he wrestled. Back up a second, Zach Depot, back from injury as well. He was an incredible kid last year that I talked a lot about in these videos. He's back, and he tweaked his foot, so he won his first match and had to default out, but he's a guy that we're hoping is going to be back soon. I just didn't want to forget about Zach, who's been working his tail off and doing great. And just like Zach, another good story of perseverance. 74, Tyler Askey got sick again. That was that virus, so he couldn't wrestle, and so Fox was the only entrant, and Fox ended up winning the tournament. 184 pounds, Will Shaney, I believe, went 3-2. And then also at 184, we had first-year Tyler Love. Both of those guys, positives and negatives. I think Will, his single leg looked great. I think he's gotten a ton better from last year, so that was great to see. And he always tries so hard. His work ethic's great. He just the way he fights is great. So we were really happy for him and with him, but obviously wish the end result would have been a little bit better. I'm trying to think who else we had at 84. 97, Zach Nye won the tournament, did what Zach Nye does. He looked good. I mean, we're building with Zach. We're trying to. What I love about Zach is that he's not satisfied. He knows that he wants to expand the lead. He knows he wants to win by more, and so I think you can count on some great things. God willing, Zach stays healthy because he's definitely a different wrestler. I mean, he was a great wrestler last year, and he's way better than he was then. So that's, I think, just to skip ahead, that's what I think was so great about the tournament is seeing the improvements of the guys, seeing the way they wrestled, not just the result. The fact that they were doing a lot of stuff we've been working on for the past 6 weeks that you guys have been hearing about. The fact they were executing the positions that we as Virginia, we want to be good at, top, reshots, finishing by the edge. These are things we want to win. And this is what they were doing great, and they're going to their go-to attacks. These are all things that we were doing. I think we rode almost everybody every bout. I was very, very happy with that. And heavyweight, Ethan Hayes is still coming back from an injury, so Pat Gillen was our entrant there. He took third, looked awesome. He had a lot more positives than negatives. I mean, he obviously has things to work on, but I thought he looked great, especially coming back through the wrestlebacks. And first year, Austin Nees went 2-2 for a freshman at heavyweight. We were definitely happy for Austin and what he was able to do. I think he got 2 pins, as a matter of fact, as well. So, if I missed anybody, I apologize. There's a lot going on that day. I think we had guys like MJ Roberson competed at 157 pounds. Dustin Romer. I'm trying to think guys that also were there, didn't place, but they competed, and I definitely want to make mention of those guys. They're doing great in the room for us, and they're great kids, and so obviously I want to make sure I don't forget that. Other than that, again, we've got big weekend coming up. Please be praying for us, and gosh, I hope I have good news for you next week when we talk again.